Hey gamers, it's Wayne Santos, Senior Content Editor over at Comics and Gaming Magazine, here for your grumpy E3 evaluation. I'm not Tim, I'm not Ørsted, so I'm not even following any cue cards. I'm just gonna riff off my experience at E3 so far, and the editors are just gonna have to deal with cutting this together to make sure it makes sense. I'm sure eventually it will. Those guys, they do a good job. Okay, so the very first thing, the press conferences. Let's go over that. Microsoft went first, and I'm sure that most of you are well aware of the news. There's some fairly invasive digital rights management going on. There is also the $500 price point. There is the always online requirement, but to sweeten a very bitter pill, Microsoft did manage to actually throw in a fair amount of fairly impressive games. We saw a trailer for Halo. Everybody was expecting that. We finally saw some Titanfall, which looks like it is going to be an Xbox One exclusive. We also saw Forza, and we even saw a what I like to call a Little Big Planet on steroids project that they call Spark. So there was some good, some bad. If you're a hardcore gamer, you're probably going to say mostly bad, and that was Microsoft. We also had EA. They showed off a lot of sports. They also showed off Mirror's Edge 2, so that made me happy. Yay! And for all of the fantasy guys, we finally got Dragon Age 3 Inquisition. It's like, personally, I was a big fan of the first Dragon Age. Dragon Age 2 was a little bit disappointing, but I'm going to give BioWare the benefit of the doubt and hope that because Morrigan figured prominently in the trailer, it's not gonna suck, and they're not going to be using the same dungeon again and again and again. Okay, moving on to Ubisoft. Surprisingly, I think that Ubisoft probably showed the most variety and took the most chances with their press conference. We saw Watch Dogs. It looked good. Everybody was expecting it to look good. We got Assassin's Creed 4. That one I'm kind of on the fence with because Assassin's Creed 3, in my opinion, was a little unbalanced, and Assassin's Creed 4 looks really good, but with pirates. Yay, pirates! Everybody loves the pirates. Most people love the pirates, except the ninjas. There was also Rayman Legends, which, as everybody knows, is not going to be Wii U exclusive anymore, but that means it's like, hey, we all get to enjoy them on other consoles too, so that's kind of cool. And there was also Just Dance. So, you guys that... Yeah, you can keep doing this. I'm not going to be doing it. And then finally, there was Sony. Oh, Sony, what can you say? It's like, it was really one of those it's always darkest before the dawn sort of moments when, just when most gamers had just assumed that this entire generation we were going to get boned by everybody. Sony actually came through. We've got digital rights management, or, better yet, in more practical terms, a used game policy, which is as we understand it today. They're not changing anything, so that's great. We've also got a $3.99 price point. That is very affordable. They showed off a lot of different exclusives. That was also good. Some would argue their range wasn't as impressive as Microsoft's, but it's like still there was a little bit of stuff there for everybody. Plus, to be fair, they also had to cover things like the Vita coverage, and they had to talk a little bit about PlayStation Plus, which is that's probably the only downer of Sony's conference is that PlayStation Plus is now essentially Xbox Live. If you want to play multiplayer, you're going to have to pay up. That doesn't actually affect me since I already had PlayStation Plus from day one, but I still think that is not a great move on their part because you had an entire generation of PS3 owners who had like 7 or 8 years to get adjusted to the idea of free online multiplayer, and now that's being taken away from them if they want to transition over to PlayStation 4. PlayStation Vita and PlayStation 3 owners still get free multiplayer, but if you want to move to the next generation, now you got to pay up. So that was the press conferences.